The fight should never have been here. It should never have been in Wexford town. It had nothing to do with us as far as most Republicans were concerned.
They were crossing the line when they did that.
To take it down here to kill a guard in the course of his duty was for many incomprehensible.
Ihe an 17 dainir 1972, Harla Elu Nav Aglach board an Nungfrizoon an Maidstone a bhí ancre I Loch Lee. O Rovig 60 Pizúnach a gaid corpana chun goáile cheachint, agus Havadar a Malach amach as an lung, sal Nav an Magnificent Seven mar a tugavartha isteach sa chladach. Hosnig dian chórdach fud húsgart éirn, ach fin amsha fin na Prizúnha slán sa bháilte sa foblacht. Maiden Lorna Vorach, chuig an 60 Oscorna man ag presol Quaid im Lach Lia. Vog dinne den na pria farsan san Elu, Peter Rogers, go Loch Garman, áit fós sé ban áitiúil. Dan sé díris agus gníomhach in na meachtaí poblachtánacha.
I knew Peter Rogers. He was a neighbour of mine. He lived probably a quarter of a mile away. He often came to the home to make a phone call or whatever. You'd meet him on the road. His wife had a young baby at the time. You'd meet her with the child in the pushchair. He was a very helpful man. The neighbours liked him. I would say, yes, he had a lot of charisma about him.
He was selling vegetables around Wexford here. We bought stuff from him as well. And this chap seemed okay to me. I seen an ordinary guy. He happened to have a cup of tea here in the house with us a lot.
Churnet Wheeler, Imani Imrátach, a henne chomá harda óg a tháinig go Loch Herman.
2 young guards arrived together from Templemore, I think. One from Limerick and one from Cork. Seamus Quaid came from a great hurling family in Limerick, and John Kennedy came from a hurling family in Cork.
We were stationed together. We were in the same room together. And we did everything together. I would class him my best friend.
Boy an rád in a mount a bhíag Seamus Quaid, Ned Wheeler agus John Kennedy a rangnig a Gordis agus a chaurig leis an trúr gascíoch imirt an levélis irde to Loch Garman.
But I always admired Seamus Quaid for his prowess in training. He hurled so well that he was picked on the All-Ireland team in 1960.
From this midfield battle between Podge Keogh and Tony Wall, Seamus Quaid gets the ball. Sends it to full forward Jack Harding, and there goes another Wexford point. This was truly a victory of which Wexford could be justly proud.
There's a huge difference between republicanism and the loss of a Garda life. For Republicans, the fight was with the former colonial power.
Dón difriúil fad bíán module bá a bhí ag daoine áirds go na sealadigh, bá a bhí ag roinntá daoine le haghaidh an chúis mar a deartha.
Nís Louis de Vlian maríomh an Garda John Morley agus an Garda Henry Byrne i Malachadórín, tar éis robáil tepathe. Bhí tionchar triblóidí an túisceart ag teach níos gorid an bhaile.
There would have been active Republicans all around the 26 counties at that time. We would have to account for their movements if there was trouble, and we always had to keep tabs on them. We knew they were active, and they knew a lot of the time that we were watching them too.
I measca chuid dúlga sí mar háirde, bhí súla chamad ag Seamus Quaid a meachtaí poblachtánacha go háitiúil. Ba an 3 Derrifór 1998 lána ciniúna.
An armed gang got away with £9,000 when they raided 2 banks. In Wexford, 45 miles away, Gardai were asked to check on a car thought to have been used in the robbery.
Da thora an robáil, bhí an Garda Donal Lyttleton agus Seamus Quaid ag iarraidh labhairt le gníomhaí poblachtánacha crutha sa cheantar. Ina measc Peter Rogers, fear a raibh Anna co Bert.
On the day of the shooting, it had been arranged that he would move a consignment of guns and explosives. But on that day, as it so happened, there was a bank robbery in Callan, 45 miles away. 2 banks were robbed at the same time. And as a result, the county roads were crawling with Gardai.
Bhí Quaid agus Lyttleton ag iarraidh labhairt le Peter Rogers. Bhí éasacha cá raibh cónaíar. Agus in nuain gur thugad cuairt faoi dhó ar a cheach sa ghlúiste, níor a bhéon fáiléir. Faoi éire thocraigh siad fille ar Loch Garman. Ag a leabhar tar éis de san ihe ar bmhóthar iarthóilta ó thorcha, chúdar thar bhean Peter Rogers a bhí ag teacht in Mallart Tro. Leanad a ré agus tar éis dómh iarachtaí a dhéanamh é a chur ina stad. Haring Rogers isteach ag choréil ó Hón Charmach. Tháinig an trúr fearr amach as na fithe lí, le Donal Lyttleton ag fágáil a dhunna taobh hirdó sa chóir. Dúirt na Gardaí le Rogers go raibh siad ag iarraidh pe ábhar a bhí sa bhean a scrúdú.
Chua an bhirrtacham isteach sa bhean. A brise gachéin riil atá ans na Garda Síochána maidir le cuardach an tuairt.
Go toban thug Rogers amach gunna agus dúirdigh sé an bhirt imeacht an bhean.
Perhaps they trusted him too much. They knew him so well. He knew them.
Le lingan scliúchas in lean, scuilimh den norchar. Daimh le Donal Lyttleton éilú agus cúig sé ar chóir chomhrach. Le Quaid I méal an bháis, Herr Rogers an láthair, I lámh chus a chus.
In the space of 3 months, 3 Gardai had been shot dead. And there was an actual coincidence involved in the shooting of Garda Quaid and one of the others. The other 2 were Garda Henry Byrne and Sergeant Morley, who had been shot dead in Roscommon following a bank robbery there. Now, the bullet that hit Sergeant Morley penetrated his leg and severed his femoral artery, and he bled to death. And by coincidence, the bullet that hit Seamus Quaid severed his artery as well, the main artery in his leg, and he too bled to death. So while Donal Lyttleton did his utmost to raise the alarm as soon as he could and get assistance, still didn't come in time, and it was estimated that Garda Quaid bled to death within 15 minutes of being shot.
Le lingan scuile, phléasc ceann na buin a Van Rogers. Bhí cár eile ag tastáilúig. Bhí sé gortathe agus anmhacht leis. Rinne sé a bhealach chuig teach ferme a chórsan na Kellys.
I heard a bit of a racket outside and noise and shouting, so I made my way from the sitting room to the porch. And as I made my way into the porch, I met Peter Rogers. He was hobbling around the porch, very distressed, panicked, short of breath, I'd say. And he had a gun in his right hand, and he was calling for my brother-in-law. He was calling his name and saying, "Where is he? I need a car, I need a car." My car was outside the door, so that was the car to give him the car. So of course there was a big panic on then, because I had come in and left the keys of the car somewhere, and nobody couldn't pick them up instantaneously, so everybody was saying, "Where's the keys of the car? Oh my God, blah, blah, what did you do with them?" I suppose within that few minutes we were asking what was wrong. I was asking him what was wrong, and I remember he said, "They're after me," but he gave us no more information than that, and he was very, very anxious to get out of there. He told one of the lads to get into the car and put it on the road. It was literally all over in a few minutes.
Why didn't you report Peter Rogers to the Gardaí once he'd left with the car?
We were afraid. We were ordered not to report the car until the following morning, and you don't argue with somebody that's carrying a gun.
An sin tharla chur Harlava at sa scéal. Rinne Rogers a bhealach chud teach glú Hara agus cumrádaí amáníochta Seamus Quaid, net wheeler.
A knock came to the door, and a man appeared who I knew very well through his father-in-law, and he said he had an accident in his car. I said, will I bring you home? No, he said, actually. So I put him up for a small hole in his foot. He said accelerator pedal hit him in the foot, and we gave him bed.
I was awoken about 2:30 by Sergeant John Dwyer and another one of the lads in your Garda station. And they told me that Seamus Quaid was shot dead and Donal Lyttleton was injured. And I thought it was a bad dream. So I got up and I went to Wexford, and I didn't believe it until I met his wife Olive and Father Jackie McCabe in the house. I just didn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. He was my best friend, and I was shattered.
Maiden Lorna Vorach, vi Ballylach Garman mire, the nocht nodun varhe.
Next morning I heard that Seamus Quaid was shot. And then the guards come up here, and it was the man we had harboured.
The place was swarmed with police officers, special branch, I presume. There was people everywhere. And it all unfolded then. We hadn't even heard it on the news that Detective Quaid had been shot.
When news of the shooting became known, it was received with widespread shock. Detective Quaid was very popular, not only as a county and All-Ireland hurler, but as a Garda. As dawn broke, senior detectives from Dublin joined the murder hunt.
In the space of 5 minutes, I suppose, there was police in the kitchen, in the hallway outside the door, everywhere. And we were being bombarded with questions, and we were really shocked. I think we might have been all separated into different cars. And obviously we were arrested under Section 30, offences against the state, which really I hadn't much knowledge about. I thought I was just going in to answer a few questions in the Garda station, but it was a bigger picture then.
I understand you're following a definite line of inquiry.
We are following a definite line of inquiry. We know the van concerned, and we know the man who was driving the van.
And this search is now on for him countrywide?
Yes, it is indeed, yes.
Ach níor hábh na Gardaí Peter Rogers. Nuair hiagnet wheeler an bhadan dar gion go raibh an duine a bharigad lúchara tar éis dídan na híthe áil ina cheach chuir sé íchail ar géile. Hugh Rogers isteach ag stáisiún na Gardaí Loch Garman I deanta sagart.
Bhí uafás agus scanal bin an darad bavó bhí an. Ní creideach daoine go bhéiteach sé a thar-lú. Ceapach gachéinge nach darlóch sé I de áit féin riamh. Ach sa cá sin bin an rud a tharla agus bin bacúis leis an túfás.
Níos déanaí an lá sin ag stáisiún na Gardaí. Cheas Donal Lyttleton os córa chara Peter Rogers. An duine a bhí tar éis a chumrádaí a bharú.
Do you have anything to say to him? I'm sorry, Donny. Why did you do it? You know the reason. For Jesus' sake, Donny, you know why.
Peter, you may think I hate you. I don't.
I pity you. Jesus, I prayed that chap would live.
In Limerick Loch Garman an cahra lá déag dearafór 98 ag éisteach speisialta don chóirta chóthaí cúisíomh Peter Rogers go Firimalta.
You, Peter Rogers, on the 13th day of October 1980, at Ballyconnick, Cleariestown, County Wexford, murdered one Detective Garda Seamus Quaid, contrary to common law. You are not obliged to say anything unless you wish to do so, but anything you do say will be taken down in writing and may be given in evidence. Do you understand the charge?
I do.
Have you anything to say in answer to the charge?
No.
Very well.
Tógah Rogers chuig ospedéal Loch Garman chun cór leiseach ar air. San bhurg na chéine bhí Seamus Quaid sínte ar chlár sa Marvlan. Bhí sé in rac nuair tháinig sé chun solis gur cúisíomh Peter Rogers as dún bharú Ginny Quittin in unad Cian Báis.
Mr. Haughey told the Dáil that the charge preferred in the case last night had been withdrawn for technical reasons and struck out.
Trí lá níos déanaí agáach Rogers nuair a scuileadh amach as an ospidéal é. Bhí ar phobal Loch Garman doling neic le réadúlach gún bhartha an IRA. Ach trí a tharla go hundúil I bhadó bhaile, ó thuaig. Ach dág an méid a tharla ar an lá tragóideach sin, rian ar siúd a bhí sáineatha sa scéal.
We all felt that we were under suspicion for a long time.
But it was a smaller knit town then than now. And I suppose for a while there was a bit of ill feeling, all right. But it wasn't their fault. Sad to sad, there's no country worth that bloodshed. None whatsoever. And it was sad to see a young man of Seamus' ability and his prowess going down like that, doing his duty.
I don't think Ned had anything to do with it, the way it happened. He was just caught up in it.
I did experience it firsthand myself. When I went to the local shop, you know, there was a few customers in the shop, and when I opened the door and went into the shop, everybody went silent. And well, you did feel it, yeah, a palpable silence, I'd say. The same in the local pub. We really felt that there was such chaos and such panic going on at the time to find somebody to be responsible for the crime, find anybody that was associated with anybody who had anything to do with this crime. I suppose maybe the way the whole circumstances came together, we probably, in hindsight, did look like we were involved.
Sometime after, a lovely gentleman, Superintendent Jim Doyle, came down and said to me, "We know," he said, "that you're completely innocent of the whole thing." So I was not involved in any way.
Hosnig tríal húnmhartha Peter Rogers sa chuairt chorúil speisialta I feabhra 1981.
The hardest was going to court. That was heavy. It was our first time in a court case. No jury, 3 judges. And I think it was on about 2 weeks.
Furas Peter Rogers ciantach as dúnmharú an Garda Seamus Quaid, agus déireamh chun báise, ag bhuilig an tuachsrán píonmhar an bháis go 10 bliain gan leabhar.
Well, Rogers claimed, as you say, that these guns and explosives were destined for the north. The Gardai never believed that. They believed that they were destined for Britain, where they'd be used in a pre-Christmas bombing blitz in London or elsewhere.
As it turned out, there was only one bombing in London before Christmas. That was at a Territorial Army barracks in Hammersmith. The bomb caused considerable damage, but claimed no lives.
And sometimes forgotten when you think of the tragedy of the actual killing, that by stopping Rogers on that day, Garda Quaid and Garda Lyttleton saved many, many lives. The many lives would have been lost if that bombing blitz had gone ahead, and many people have been injured. But by stopping Rogers, they prevented that.
I do feel there was a lot of victims out of the Seamus Quaid killing. Number one, the Quaid family, Mrs. Quaid, had lost her husband and a father to her children. Mrs. Rogers had effectively lost her husband to a life in prison, and her child had no father. He was denied a father in his upbringing. And also, the late Seamus Quaid's daughter lived in the same parish, which must have been very difficult for both women. Same church, same school, you know, really difficult.
Níos déanaí an bhliain sin brunamh bán ór Scott an Garda Quaid as 8 chrógacht. A bhean Olive a ghlachan gradam a hun.
Áid anna hiún des a bheith a garman. Ní dólan go bhéadach siad a creidúint nach raibh brise dianta le sin inis. Go raibh an saol ahrathe mar a déartha. Tuisc gur hála an rud sin. Agus nach mbeadh an saol riamh cóma is a bhíoch sé mar a déartha riime sin.
All those men that died for the cause are, I think it's ridiculous. For what? What have they died for? Doing in their duty, doing their duty.
Those of us who wanted a 32 county and who still long for a 32 county, the fight is not with agents of the Irish state, it's with an external colonial power. Thankfully, the Good Friday Agreement has put all of that behind us, thank God, and now people are prepared to move on in a democratic way. So it was okay, I think, for most people that the fight would be with the agents of a British government in the north of our country, not for somebody implementing the law in a town like Wexford with its huge tradition of 98 and with its huge tradition of unity rather than divisiveness within our own county.
I don't believe that Peter Rogers went out to kill anybody that night. It was a coincidence that he had met the 2 detectives on the road and at the quarry, and you know, there was a shootout and it was a dark night. I don't know.
It was revolting the way it happened. I think there was no need for it at all.
I mín an olog náideag noch a hocht, tar éis do 8 mlíana déag a chaf sa frisún, scoilh sir Peter Rogers, fwy hermi choin tú ina an chésta.
I lost a great friend, and Olive lost a husband, and the family lost a great father. And that was the real sad part about it.